Today, I'm glad to be sharing with you about the Babylonian Captivity and the return. In fact, Pastor Sam has done a bit of introduction, so we can quickly go through that. Basically, the captivity and return represents one of the single most important event in the third period of Jesus Christ's genealogy. And this period, you find that this period in the third period of Jesus' genealogy extends from the deportation, which it means captivity, through the returns from Babylon and all the way to Jesus Christ, and that will last about 593 years. The reason why we are studying this study is because the fact that it reveals God's blueprint of His redemption plan for mankind. And it is significant because, as Pastor has explained, and he went through the dark periods of 400 odd years, no further word is recorded in the Bible regarding this period. So that means the word that God gave during the captivity and return must be very crucial and must have carried God's heart, God's desire to ready His people for the coming of Jesus Christ the Messiah. That is the hope, right? That fallen mankind has been waiting all this while, ever since the fall of Adam in the Garden of Eden. And it reflects God's heart. Therefore, for us who are now living in end times, these same words is crucial for us, because it is God's way to teach us and tell us, please remember the main theme verse of Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the years of old, the years of all generation. Okay, so God says, ask, right? Seek, find, and learn so that you will know. So let's look at the timeline of the three deportations and the returns. Because in the exile and captivity, it happens over three occasions, as well as the return, three separate occasions. So the first deportation is occurred in 605 BC. Second deportation, 597 BC. That was about 8 years after the first deportation. Must remember that in 605, it was already many years after the fall of northern Israel. Remember, northern Israel fell in year 722 BC. Okay? So the third deportation occurred 11 years after, in 586 BC. And after these three deportations, when it's time to bring them back, according to the Word of God, and as we learn, after 70 years, God allowed them to come back. The first return was 49 years after the third deportation, and it was in 537 BC. The second return occurred 79 years after the first return, in 558 BC. And the third return occurred 14 years after, in 444 BC. Let's look at the routes, okay, of, just for your reference. These routes are found in Book 5. So if you haven't got Book 5, please purchase a copy and the routes will be there. Okay, if you can see the white lines, the white lines are the ones that shows the routes for their journey to Babylon, the captivity in Babylon. And on the map on the right, coming up, it shows you the return. For the returns, the one in the white lines shows the first return, and the darker line shows the second and third returns. Okay. So let's now look at the details of the deportations. The first deportation, when it happened, it was during the reign of King Jehoiakim. King Jehoiakim is actually the second son of King Josiah. Remember, this is already the fifth book, so you guys have come and studied the fourth book. And you would know that the second period of Jesus' genealogy ended with King Josiah. Okay? So in this third period, King Joachim took over, and he is King Josiah's second son. The people that went into captivity included the royal family, the nobles, as well as the prophet Daniel. Okay, so Prophet Daniel had a great role to play in encouraging, in giving the word to people in exile. Second deportation was during the reign of King Jeconiah. King Jeconiah's given name was actually King Jehoiachin. By the name itself, you can see that he had direct relations to King Jehoiakim, who is his father. And in the second deportation, the royal family, servants, officials in the court, as well as captains and military men of valor, 10,000 of them, craftsmen and smiths, 1,000 of them, including Prophet Ezekiel, who was deported to exile. In the third deportation, King Zedekiah, he is actually the brother of King Jehoiakim, and therefore he is the uncle of King Jeconiah. During this time, he was deported, and everyone in southern Judah, everyone except the tourists in the land. Why were they deported? Why did they go into captivity? Isn't this land the land that God had promised them to be theirs forever? The Bible in Jeremiah 20:13 tells us, "For my people has committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. They have hewn themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." You can see these two evils manifested in two major sins. One, the sin of idolatry. In the wilderness journey in Mount Sinai, God gave His law, His 10 commandments. And one of the major commandments was no other gods. Exodus 20:2-3. "You shall not have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, and any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow to them or serve them." But of course, Jeremiah 1:16 tells us, the Israelites did not do what God commanded them. They forsook God, they burned incense to other gods, and they worshipped the works of their own hands. Today, because all of us come from a Christian background, I would not think any of us are non-believers. So maybe for us, when we think of incense to other gods, it's maybe a bit foreign. But how about this? Isn't the me God, the me, M-E, idol, the worst idol of all? It is the idol that is with us all the time. It's the idol that goes with us to bed. It's the idol that we wake up to. It's the idol that we cater to throughout the whole day. When we get in the morning, what do you want to eat? Where do you want to go? Who should we see? What should we read? What should we play? Which country should we go and visit today? So the me idol is an idol that we have to be careful of. Okay? God's judgment for them was to be cast out Canaan, the promised land. Jeremiah 16:13 says, "Therefore I will cast you out of this land into a land that you do not know, neither you nor your fathers, and there you shall serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you any favor." The second major sin was the sin of not keeping, was not keeping the Sabbath day and the Sabbath year. In the same wilderness journey, the 10 Commandments, God says you have to keep the Sabbath day. And the reason, one of the major reasons, because it served as a sign. Exodus 31:13 says, "Speak also to the children of Israel, saying, Surely my Sabbaths you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord who sanctifies you. I am the Lord that sets you apart. I am the Lord who calls you out, okay, from sin. This law also applies to the seventh year. Because they did not obey God, God's judgment to them was casting them out into Babylon, into captivity for 70 years. And this was covered already by Pastor Samuel. 2 Chronicles 36:20 to 21. And those who escaped from the sword, he carried away to Babylon, where they became servants to him and his sons until the rule of the kingdom of Persia, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbath. As long as she lay desolate, she kept Sabbath, to fulfill 70 years. So God allowed Judah to be taken captives into Babylon for 70 years, in order to discipline them. 2 Samuel 7:14 says, I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commits iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the blows of the son of men. Hebrews 5:6-7 says, and you have forgotten the exhortation which speaks to you as to sons. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor be discouraged when you are rebuked by him. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is there whom a father does not chasten? Doesn't this remind us of the wilderness journey? Remember at Ritma, 14 campsite, God says, hey, can't you see the land of Canaan right in front of you? Go in. I've given the land to you, right? The promised land. But the Israelites disobeyed. So we can see that God disciplines. Even then, when they disobeyed, what did he say? Okay, you will wander in the wilderness 40 years. For Adam, when Adam sinned, God says, get out. For the Garden of Eden, right? And now, for southern Judah, God says, 70 years of captivity. So what is the historical redemptive significance of the captivity? Essentially, the tree deportation is talking about stages of destruction of the temple. The temple, remember, is us. Okay, 2. First deportation, if you can look at especially the red areas, 2 Chronicles 36:7 says, Nebuchadnezzar took and carried away some of the articles from the house of the Lord, temple. Okay? Second deportation, 2 Kings 24:13 says, King Nebuchadnezzar carried all the treasures. So now it's from some articles to all the treasures. And then not only that, he cut up those that are in gold. That means they are the most precious treasures. He is dismantling all of them. And the third deportation is the worst of all. He burned the house of the Lord. That means the temple was fully destroyed. He broke down the walls, meaning not even the nation, everything, nothing, okay, was left. God thoroughly punished Israel by destroying the cherished temple through the hands of the Babylonians. Remember God, when he asked them in the wilderness to build the tabernacle, he says, that is where I will meet with you. Okay? But now in Kings 9:7-9, God says, I will cut off Israel from the land which I have given them. And this house which I have consecrated for my name, I will cast out of my sight. Israel will be a proverb and a byword among all peoples. And as for this house which is exalted, everyone who passes by it, this house meaning the temple, everyone who passes by it will be astonished and will hiss and say, Why has the Lord done thus to this land and to this house? Then they will answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore the Lord brought all this calamity on them. God, through this destruction, actually allowed the Israelites to see the physical destruction, temple being all the articles of gold and precious things in the temple to be taken away and finally to be burned. That is physical. God does it in order to show us the spiritual decay in the hearts of the Israelites. Because sometimes if your temple is wonderful, you cannot see the decay. Okay? So God was shouting to them through this incident to say, all is not right. Please turn and repent. Likewise today, all of us come from wonderful, beautiful churches. I think a lot of us are proud of our churches. They look beautiful. We love to go to church. Likewise, also, outwardly, all of us look pretty decent, right? And good. I mean, I don't see smear or shit on any of you. There's no cobwebs. You come here, you're very nice and pretty. But is there decay starting to rot within our hearts, temple of our hearts? So God says, are there something within us that has been cut, been carried away, and been burned? So we need to turn, we need to repent. Okay? Even though God disciplined them and punished them, God always never forgets His promise of eternal covenant. Concerning the land of Canaan which He made with Abraham, the land where He set up His temple, and the land which is also ours, of the eternal kingdom of heaven. In Genesis 13:15, God told Abraham, for all the land which you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever. And throughout the 70-year Babylonian exile, God kept sending His word, especially to Prophet Jeremiah, His message of hope. He says, for I know the thoughts I have toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. And I will bring you back from the captivity. I will gather you from all the nations, and from all the places I've driven you, says the Lord. I will bring you to the place from which I caused you to be carried captive. Ultimately, the deportation represents our banishment, right, from the Garden of Eden. But God says, hey guys, there is the future. You will return. Okay? The inheritance, eternal inheritance of the kingdom of God through Jesus Christ. I'm going to send you Jesus Christ. And that's what God was trying to tell Southern Judah, Israelites at the time. Your promise, the seed of the woman will come. Be patient, endure, overcome, take the punishment. Okay? For this reason, He is the mediator. Jesus Christ is the mediator of the new covenant, by means of death for the redemption of the transgressions under the first covenant, that those who are called may receive the promise of eternal inheritance. So how do we obtain this eternal inheritance? By repentance, by believing in Jesus Christ. So now let's look at the returns, details of the returns. The first return occurred in the year 1537, 49 years after the third deportation. The leader at that time was Zerubbabel. He was the governor of Judah, and the high priest was Jeshua. In the first return, 49,987 returned together with Zerubbabel. Okay? In the second return, it was 458 BC, 79 years. I'm sure there is great great understanding to be had by the number of years that it took to return. You know, you can see how when he fell, right, it was first captivity, first deportation, 8 years after that, 11 years after that, quick succession. But for them to return, it's taking so long. In a way, it really shows, right? For us to fall and sin, split second. But for us to ask forgiveness, to come back, to reconcile with God, it takes ages. Okay? So, this three returns just really shows me this. The leader in the second return was Ezra, and remember, as Pastor said, he was not only the priest, but he was a scribe, responsible to transcribe, the word of God into multiple scrolls, so that to preserve the word of God. And the peoples at the time was males, 1,775. The third return was 14 years later, 444 BC. The leader was Nehemiah. He was the governor of Judah. And at the same time, he was the cupbearer. And guess how many people returned? One. Nehemiah. Pretty sad, right? What is the reason of the returns? The first return, the reason was to rebuild the temple. Of course, the temple was fully destroyed in 586 BC, right? And God wanted a place where they can worship Him. Of course, He wants them to come back to rebuild the temple so that He can, again, be able to be worshipped by His people. So, Pastor has already covered Ezra 1, 2, 3, okay, the return. So when they returned in 537 BC, they did not start construction until 536 BC. But the relentless interference and opposition from the Samaritans, and Pastor Sam also covered that, caused the temple reconstruction to stop for 20 years. Okay? So, 16 years. I confused with 520 BC. Pardon me. So they stopped for 16 years, and after 16 years, God allowed Zechariah and Haggai to instigate and to encourage them, come on, we need to build God's temple. We've already been here, 16 years, and God's temple is not up. Come on, what are you guys doing? So they started rebuilding in 580 BC. And in their eagerness and zeal, they were able to complete, in spite of the opposition still, bear in mind, in 4 years, 5 months, the temple was constructed in 516 BC, finally. Okay. The second return was to recover and restore temple-centered faith. If you like, we can actually compare the setting up, the rebuilding of the temple in the first return, like the physical structure. Right? The physical structure is built up. The church, our church that we go to worship, is built up. But you need the flesh inside, right? You need the delights inside. So the second return is to fully recover and restore. It consists of temple community, the priests, Levites, temple servants. That does not include congregation members. Okay? Revelation 1:6 tells us this, that we have all been called to be kings and priests. So just because we are congregation members does not exclude us being in number one. Okay? Temple sacrifices. We need to offer. We need to worship God, right? So in a way, one is ministry and service to God. Number two is worship. And three, who are we worshiping? Our God, right? So we need to know Him. And that's where the teaching of God's word came in. So if we look at a house, the outside of the house is like, maybe the first return, we build a temple. Then, second return is like furnishing in a house. And then the third return is like, if you have a house, it's a beautiful house, but you can't protect your valuables inside, what are you going to do? You need a fence, right? All of us houses, we do have fence. Especially if you have a house on a landed property, there is usually a fence that says, this is your house and your property. So the third return, they had to build the fence. the city wall of Jerusalem. Nehemiah, when he came back, he says, can you see the distress that we're in? How Jerusalem lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire. Come, and let us build the wall of Jerusalem, that we may no longer be reproached. Even though Nehemiah encountered fierce opposition, the opposition came from within, his own people, but without two. But he persevered along with all those who are willing to work. They persevered, they completed building the wall of Jerusalem within 52 days. In both the deportations and the returns, we see God's providence. Remember how Pastor Samuel showed us the chart and showed us why these kingdoms came into power? That is God's providence. Okay, in Book 4, which I believe we covered previously, in the God's Profound and Mysterious Providence, the author, Reverend Abraham Ha, shared what is God's providence. It is God's authority over all things. It is God's concrete activities, right? All the different kingdoms. And His active sovereign intervention. All in order to achieve the goal of redemption for mankind. So what is God's providence in the deportation? He caused King Nebuchadnezzar to come and conquer, southern Judah, and lead them all into captivity. In the first deportation, especially important, if you look at the underlying parts, firstly it says the first year, right? The word that came to Jeremiah concerning the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, which is the first year. So the first deportation happened in the first year of King Nebuchadnezzar. Can you imagine? You are a new king, Wouldn't you be interested to sort of like stabilize your country, make sure that your country that you have inherited is great and doing fine? But he seems to have this urgency to go and disturb southern Judah. Why? Because God says, therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, because you have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, says the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and bring them against this land, against its inhabitants, against these nations all around, and will utterly destroy them, make them an astonishment, and a sin, and a perpetual desolations. In the second deportation, it was still under King Nebuchadnezzar. He seems to have this strong interest to just attack southern Judah. And this is by the providence of God. In his 8th year, he went again to fight against southern Judah. He, of course, took away Jeconiah. Third deportation in King Nebuchadnezzar 19. It seems that throughout the rule of King Nebuchadnezzar, from the first year to his 19th year, he says one sole goal: I need to do the work of God. The underlying part will show you that it is in the 19th year, and then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, the servant of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He burned the house of the Lord and the king's house, all the houses of Jerusalem, that is, all the houses of the great, he burned with fire. Let's look now at the providence of God in the returns. How does God carry out His authority, His sovereign activities to ensure the returns? In the first return, Ezra 1:1, which was shown earlier in the first lecture, God stirred up the spirit of King Cyrus. Stir up in Hebrew means to rouse, to awaken, to excite. And through the stirring of God, because we must remember, right, King Cyrus, as Pastor Sam pointed out, he had no desire. He's a Gentile king. And again, this is your first year, right? I mean, you want to take care of your country. Why do you want to care about some obscure country out far in the west that whose temple has broken down and needs to be rebuilt? So, what's that got to do with me? But But God stirred his heart so that he will issue a decree, proclamation. Whoever wants to go back to rebuild the temple of God, go. I'm giving you permission. Leave my country and go to your country. Amazing, right? It's like, won't you be hoarding the people in your country because they will help you, right? To make sure that your country become better and prosper. So he did that. In the second return, Ezra 7, 12, especially 27, I've listed the verse here for you. God put such a thing as this in the king's heart to beautify. Remember I told you the analogy of a house? The things inside the house, your wonderful furniture, your wonderful curtains, to beautify the house of God. And when God gave King Artaxerxes that desire to beautify God's house, he issued decree, and Ezra was able to go without any interference. In the third return, Nehemiah 2:8 says, according to God's good hand. God's good hand was upon Nehemiah. Therefore, he had favor with King Artaxerxes, and Artaxerxes granted him permission to go back to Jerusalem to build a wall. So, how then do we see God's historical redemptive administration in the captivity and the returns? In terms of the return, we can see a few things, and it has direct relevance to us too. Number one, God is saying that there will be an end to my anger, my wrath, my judgment, my punishment. So for all your sin, I will be able to forgive and forget. So Psalms 85, 1-4 says, Lord, you have been favorable to your land. You have brought back the captivity of Jacob. You have forgiven the iniquity of your people. You have covered all the sin. Selah. You have taken away all your wrath. You have turned from the fierceness of your anger. Restore us, O God of our salvation, and cause your anger toward us to cease. So through Jesus Christ, when he came, right? After he came, now we are living after the event of Jesus Christ. We are promised forgiveness. John 1:12 tells us that. And eternal life. And the inheritance of the kingdom of God. John 3:16. Ultimately, the returns also represents to us the promise of final victory at the second coming of Jesus Christ, when we will be free from sin, bondage of sin, and bondage of death. Number two, the second redemptive significance is that God's word will surely be fulfilled. God promised exile in Babylon will last 70 years, and that it will end with the rule of Persia. Right? 2 Chronicles 36:20 tells us this. So we can see that the rule of Persia in Ezra 1:1 was fulfilled. The first year of King Cyrus proclaimed a decree, come back, you can go back to Jerusalem. The 70 years is also fulfilled. If you look at the fact that the deportation and is all about the temple, right? The year the temple was destroyed was, remember, the third deportation, 586. And the year that the temple was rebuilt, remember, they came back, they started the temple building in 536. Their opposition was finally completed in 516. If you were to subtract this 70 years on the dot. Okay? In the last days, which we are living in today, God is reminding us through this that whatever I promised and whatever I said, it will surely be fulfilled. It will surely come true. The third redemptive significance of the return is that there is the certainty of eschatological, which means last days, which means end time salvation. Just as the three returns is reminiscent of the slavery in Egypt, God delivered them from bondage. Likewise, in the last days, God will deliver us from our bondage to Babylon, to sin, the city of sin here. Revelation 18, 2-4. He cried mightily with a loud voice, Babylon the Great is fallen, has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bread. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of the luxury. And I have heard another voice of heaven saying, Come out of her, my people. That is the call to us today too. Lest you share in the sin, and lest you receive of her plagues. Finally, okay, I seem to be missing a slide. Okay. And since I'm missing a slide, let me share with you what it is. Okay. God says that there will be a remnant. I don't know why there's no slide appearing, although it shows in the slide here. God assures us that there will be a remnant. Remember how when God allowed them to return, and you notice that not many people came back, right? First return 49,000, second return 1,000 plus, third return was just one. So essentially, in all the three returns, there's so few of them. There's about maybe slightly more than 50,000 people to return. Yeah, remnants. God says there will be a remnant in the end. Okay. I need to see. How do I open up? Okay, good. Thank you so much. So I have to make it. Oh, you can see this? Okay. All right. So there will be remnant. Isaiah 11:11-12. This is a hiccup that everybody that shares the word has to deal with. Okay. The fourth is there will be remnant. Isaiah 11:11-12 tells us that it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Syria and Egypt, from Petros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Doesn't it talk about now, end times, right? So there is going to be a remnant too in the end time. God says in Revelation 12:1, there's a great sign that appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head garlanded with 12 stars. And in Revelation 12:17, a few verses down, the dragon was enraged against this woman and tried to make war against her. And this woman and the rest of her offspring from this woman are those that keep the commands of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So this is the badge of the remnant. The badge of the remnant is keeping the commandments of God and having the testimony of Jesus Christ. Remember why the Israelites was exiled? They didn't keep God's commandment, right? And now, because we have Jesus Christ, we not only need to keep God's commandment, we need to keep the testimony of Jesus Christ too. Therefore, we must become God's remnant in these last days. Become the central figures in order to ensure that history redemption is fully carried out, so that all of us can enter into the eternal kingdom of heaven. From the moment Adam sinned, redemption plan for mankind's salvation was in motion. For Adam, sin's price was banishment from the Garden of Eden. For southern Judah, it was the banishment from Jerusalem. The temple, the sanctuary where God has met his people, has been corrupted by sin. Adam was sent from the garden to toil and till his heart. Judah was sent back to work and recover the temple that's within their hearts. Today, we have to examine ourselves whether there's any decay in our temple. Not only our individual temple, but the temple of our church, right? Our church is also the temple. We have to pray for the temple that's within our nation. God says that I want the glory of mine, of me, to cover the whole world like waters cover the sea. What does he mean? He's saying that the whole world must be my temple. And that is what we need to do on behalf of God. We must be the remnant that does it for him. And finally, therefore, if we are able to do that, we will be able to, in honorable, in spirit and in truth, be able to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is our reasonable service. And we can only do this through God's amazing grace. Let us pray.